Hey, good evening, everyone. This is the City of Reading Planning Commission workshop meeting for Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Here in the third floor conference room is Peter Rye and myself. I'm Wayne Bueller, chairman. And on Zoom, we have Wilson Beeson. And is there anybody else? Is that everybody?
Those are all the comments.
That's everybody? Okay, so since this is a workshop meeting, we do not need a quorum to go ahead because there are no voting. There's no voting during this meeting. And so first up, we have a discussion on the GoggleWorks 2 plan for Helping Harvest. And here, who's heading this up, Lee? You want? Okay, go right ahead.
All right, well, thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for putting me on my agenda, putting me on your agenda. I'm sorry. You're not the chairman anymore. They get away. With me this evening on the screen in the top left-hand corner is Gareth Donnelly. Gareth is the Vice President of Construction and Project Management for Boscov's and Our City Reading. To the bottom left-hand corner is Scott Gruber. Scott is the Vice President for Development and Funding for Our City Reading. My reason for being here this evening is last Thursday morning, both Gareth and Scott and I sat in with Emily and Jerome and others on the one-stop shop. And what we wanted to do was present to the city formally the project that has been skirting around the edges of being publicized until we were ready to come before you and present the project as it's developed so far today. I have been working on the project with Gareth and Scott and Our City Reading since about April of this year. The initial process was to look at the building and establish what were the possibilities of tenant rental on the 4 floors that the building has. The building, if you don't remember, was always known as Goggle 2. It's across the Thorn Street between original Goggle 1 and heading east. The building, because of the aggressive funding and aggressive marketing, has been renamed the Helping Harvest Annex, because on floor 1 will be the Helping Harvest creation of a full production kitchen, taking up almost all of the main building. There is a 2-story addition in the back of the building on the northeast corner, which has potential uses for other potential tenants. But we have entered into an agreement to be the architect of record with a team of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, and structural engineers. We are working on the core and shell of that building. And also we are under contract with the first major tenant of the building on the first floor, and that is Helping Harvest itself. We will be responsible, my design team, for all of the tenant fit out for the full service kitchen. It was not possible for Jay Laurel, who is the executive director of Helping Harvest, to be here this evening. At the end of our one-stop shop, we got some pretty good advice, and Jerome had checked the agenda for this evening. And what we are going to be doing is presenting to you sketch plan presentation. Jerome has indicated that it will set us up to go through the zoning hearing process, as well as coming back to the Planning Commission at a later date. My goal is to do such a great job tonight that you'll put us on the agenda for December. It'd be a nice Christmas present I could give my client, but we'll wait and see. One team member who is not here this evening is Scott Miller. Scott, for the longest while, as you all know, had been a principal at Stackhouse Bensinger. Scott has moved on since that company has been absorbed since the passing of Bob Stackhouse into a firm out of Pottstown. Scott is now Director of Land Development Planning for Spot Stevenson McCoy. And I think it was just this week that his team was able to get time on the site. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be shooting all of the elevations around the building and also verifying all of the major floor elevations that are in the building right now. My goal this evening is to take you through the planning to date. Emily may have or may not have the initial concept designs that we had in the floor plans. I can briefly tell you that floors 4, 3, and 2 are being discussed with potential tenants. We are treating those 3 floors as a potential occupancy under commercial, retail, or residential. So we're looking at the building as being a mixed use occupancy. It is a perfect candidate for reuse, adaptive reuse. The building was the 3rd component built by the company that created Goggleworks, and it is the strongest of the 3. It is all poured in place reinforced concrete. We have some floors that are at least 11 inches thick. So we do get considerable built-in fire separations, both horizontally and vertically. One of the first things we did was we met with Helping Harvest, Jay and his design team, and they interviewed and hired Clark Equipment. And what Clark Equipment has done is laid out a complete kitchen. And what you can see on this floor plan is all of the first floor, which is half a floor out of the ground, around the perimeter on the left, which is to the west, to the bottom, which is to the south, and to the right, which is to the east, is all going to be surrounded with ancillary support offices for Jay and his team. Everything else inside all of those are all pure food service operation. Clark has provided us with a full set of equipment layout as well as equipment specification sheets. It's the largest spec sheet I've ever had cataloged in my life. It's over 1,000 pages. They are going to be doing what apparently has happened since Helping Harvest has really become very active in providing food for the less fortunate. The amount of calls for their support and their help has greatly increased, and many of the providers who have been in the past just making maybe a couple of bags of this and a couple of bags of that, it has now ratcheted up to sides of beef, half truckloads of this and half truckloads of that. So they are now at the suggestion of Redner's and at the tutelage of Redner's Markets, they have created a quick flash freeze process where they can process foods, freeze it, bulk it, and get it into warehouse space so that it is more readily distributable to the population sooner than before. And it allows them to not just do families, but also institutions as well. So they've spread their market share, and they're doing just a bang up job. The goal is to get them in by the end of 2024. And we have started the process, as you all know why that's where we're here today. The building is also a part of the old Goggleworks complex, and when Goggle One was created, of which I was a part of, we had historic tax credits to assist us in the financing, and that has been carried over. Our city, Reading, Gareth leading the charge, with Scott right there within lockstep, have been pursuing historic tax credits. We are going for an RCAP or a RACP, whichever you prefer, name of the state funding. And we are also going after some sites money. So Scott's been very busy on the phone with Harrisburg and working on that. What we're planning to do, and we will send you, or I'm sorry, I will bring to the next meeting a chart that will show you how we're planning to do all of these things in a linear fashion, with many things happening almost simultaneously. There is asbestos in the roof. There is asbestos in the caulking of the windows. There is some pigeon debris, and there is some lead paint. So we have specifications and we have documents that will. Jay, welcome.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, we're not.
I didn't find that meeting, I couldn't get in the building.
Oh, this is Jay Warhol, who was going to give it a shot to get here. So what I'd like to do, Jay, I was just giving everyone an overview of where we're at. I gave them a little bit of the approach that you're taking and how you've gotten from just getting bags of this and bags of that to getting sides of beef. So if you want to take over and give a little more up to date as to where we are and where you are specifically, we're ready for you, buddy.
Sure, my apologies for being late again. Yeah, as everybody probably knows, the demand for our services have gone up rather dramatically over the last couple of years. We're having trouble finding enough food to give to people. About 60% of the food that we distribute comes to us through food donations, mostly from retail establishments or warehouses. There is product available to us that is not packaged for family use. So sides of beef, 40-pound bags of rice, a lot of 40-pound bags of chicken, or 40-pound boxes of chicken, where there's one box with one bag inside of it and 40 pounds of chicken in that bag. Again, we can't distribute that to kind of families like we normally do. So our plan is to create this kitchen, take that kind of bulk product and create heat and eat ready meals for our clientele. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I ran up the stairs. That's the plan. That's 90% of what will happen in this building. We also have a lot of client-facing staff, people who help people sign up for food stamp benefits and other kinds of things like that. We believe that we could better serve more clients in the downtown location than we can out of our warehouse in Spring Township. So you'll see, I think there's 12 offices planned for this building. There'll be mostly client-facing staff that fill those offices. And the one thing that you should know is this is not a distribution center. We intend to receive donations of product in our warehouse in Spring Township, bring product that will be recooked here a couple of times a week, maybe once a day. While our truck is at the facility, they will take the meals that were made yesterday back to our facility in Spring Township, and they will be distributed through our existing pantry network. We will allow clients who have appointments with us to take food with them when they leave, but this is not New Journey or the Salvation Army distribution. That's not what we envision for this space.
Can you just give a little brief flow through the building coming in from the loading dock in the back?
Sure. So just up in the top left is where the loading dock is. That's really the secret to the success of this building for us. Again, we move food primarily on 26-foot refrigerated trucks on pallets. So again, our truck will show up at this facility in the morning, dropping off food that is going to be cooked in this facility, and then taking the prepared meals back on their truck back to the warehouse. And that food will come in. There are cold storage and dry storage facilities close to the loading dock, come into the facility. We will bring it into the kitchen. The kitchen will be staffed by chef trainers who are providing culinary arts skill trainings to people who may be coming from recovery programs, people with cognitive health disabilities, people out of incarceration. So those chefs will be providing that training to those clients who will be creating the chicken parmesan, beef and broccoli over rice, whatever the meal is for the day. We have packaging equipment planned for this space. so that we can continue production, even if we don't happen to have a lot of people receiving culinary arts training on that day. We have a black chiller called for in this facility because it's our intention to package these meals and freeze them and distribute them frozen so that they'll have the longest shelf life possible. Also, probably it's preferable from a food safety standpoint to maintain the product frozen as long as possible.
Great. When you look at the floor plate, you will see on the upper right-hand corner, there are a series of locker rooms, men and women. That is for the staff that will be working there. There's also a break room, if you will, for volunteers. The room that is in the lower right-hand corner of the main kitchen space that has the radius wall, that's a combination instruction room and observation room. We're going to make that segmented wall out of glass, floor to ceiling, so that visitors, students as well can observe the hot cooking line. This is a teaching kitchen as well. There are some spots inside the kitchen for culinary arts training. There will be some crossover with both the GoggleWorks staff and GoggleWorks courses, as well as TechCentro will be participating, although they also are going to be working with Centro Hispano.
They're working with Centro Hispano now. So TechCentro has begun a culinary arts training program that they are beginning in the Centro Hispano kitchen. When this kitchen is completed, my understanding is that the culinary arts training will come over to our facility. They're also doing a small kitchen in their facility on 6th Street, so they will have some of that. But the recruiting, training, life skills placement, we're working on an agreement with TechCentro where they would be responsible for that piece. And we would really be providing the food, providing a place for it to go, working on menu selection and some other things like that. So the relationship with TechCentro is very close.
Good. Below this floor is a full almost out of basement space that right now Jay doesn't need anything, any floor space down there. He's fairly well self-contained on this level. And what we were looking at in the development of the entire building, above this are floors. So if any of the three tenants or multiple tenants, whatever the final configuration is, we will make available in the basement some storage area, maybe some workshop area, depending on who the tenants are. What precipitated the next design was because this building being such a strong structure, we made the conscious decision not to do core borings in multitudinous locations and create chases. There will be core borings for running major piping, but we are not going to be going through the floor with chases. Because of the concrete structure, we can't risk or run the risk of jeopardizing the structural integrity of these 11-inch 11-inch concrete floors. So in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a big X. That is the current freight elevator and passenger elevator that we are going to vacate. And on the right-hand side, you will see an elevator and another large opening, which is going to be a new addition to the backup to the east side of the building, which currently is occupied by a vacant house that is owned by OCR. And that little two-story Hummer there is the one that we're going to demo. So we are in the process of preparing demolition drawings. We're going to apply for a demolition permit in conjunction with the asbestos abatement permitting and the lead paint abatement, so that we will be clearing the site and clearing the building of all of the obvious materials, the ACM that has to be removed from the building. If you'll notice, there is a Baker's Alley between the building that is owned by OCR. We have had personal experience in doing demolition for the county to create a shelf where the existing owners whose party wall will be exposed will be protected. So we know how to take care of that. So that's that's one of the first things that we'll be going to both Public Works as well as the building trades to get permission to do that. The upper 3 floors currently are, as I said earlier, are in negotiations for occupancy. If we had our druthers, we think we would rather see on the top floor maybe market rate housing. The floor below that, we understand that the Goggle Works one is looking to expand its capacity for studios. And we know that the Reading Science Museum, Science Center is outgrowing its current location at 645 Penn Street. So those are 3 potential occupancies currently in play. And we will see, where that takes us. We have an extended list of amenities that we want to create. There we are. This was a first shot back in June of what the 5 levels could be containing. We have been using that as a guide for our planning, mechanically and electrically and plumbing. These are just great ideas that are on paper. At the end of the day, the hardcore negotiating will kick in. So we're working with each one of the current potential tenants. What I want to show you in closing are the elevations of the elevator lobby and the elevator itself. It's a 5-story element which will go from the basement through to the roof, attached to the east side of the building. And depending on which elevation Emily shows first, I'll know where I'm at.
Sorry.
So if you can find one of those elevation sheets, Emily, that would be great. The rules and regulations from historic tax credits is that if you add something to the building, there are no historic tax credits available. It is strictly internal renovations or renovations to the facade itself. So what we're going to do, since precedent had been set with the enclosure of the Boscov Theater at Goggle 1 with an industrial vertical metal siding, we're going to use that as the enclosure. And then also the elevator in the atrium was covered, was clad in metal siding as well. So Emily had that first sheet. This would be if you could take away the building next to the building that will be demolished, and you're on the east side of this building, and Washington Street is to your left. That little bump at the top is the elevator penthouse, and the balance of the wall to the right is the elevator lobby itself. At the very bottom on the right-hand side, you see a small canopy over the lobby. The majority of access in and out of this building, besides the 3 cross corridor walkways that are provided in the Goggle Works now, Goggle 1, you can approach this building from three floors above. You will have 24/7 access to this building on this east side. It connects directly to the parking lot that's on the north side of the building. There's also talk of, you will see on the right-hand side, there are 2 floors of an addition that was added on to the main building, and there is also rental potential for those floors as well. Some of the talk has been commercial retail, maybe something like a brew pub or something like that. with something that, again, would be, open, in an after hours support of the Goggle Works Center for the Arts. The other two elevations, one will be from Washington Street and one will be from the back of the building. There you see, you're standing behind the Goggle 2 building, or the Helping Harvest Annex, and there is the entrance into the into the elevator and the elevator lobby. Its mailing address is 229, so I put 229 on the tower. We've decided to put no windows in this, only because you're going to be the first opportunity you'll have for window to look out from would be at the third floor. And we're just thinking at this point in time, just to build that elevator lobby, it's a more functional space as it is a sitting area. We don't see it as being anything other than just get people up and down to the fourth, third, and second floors. And with the wind bracing that's on there as well, windows become somewhat difficult. If we just slide to the right a little bit, you'll see the other. Maybe it's down. There we go. Thank you so much. This is from Washington Street. The building on the left is Goggle 1. The spaces between the two is Thorn Street. And then, of course, on the far right-hand side would be what you would see of the elevator tower from Washington Street in that 15-foot plus or minus alleyway. Med-Ed is looking at space in front of the elevator tower on the grade for some transformers. There's just not much space left on the site to put a lot of the other amenities mechanically and electrically on the site. So that was the best spot we could come up with. All of the holes and bad brick areas will be patched as per historic tax credits. All of the windows will be replaced. If they are in good shape, we'll make that decision on a window pane by window pane basis. However, every window will come out and will be re-caulked with non-asbestos containing caulk. So that was a major feat, but cheaper than replacing all of the windows with the original sash. We are going to clean off all the sash, sand it down, clean it, Rust-Oleum the surfaces, and then on the inside, like we did for Goggle 1, we will put a storm sash so that we will get the thermal requirements for the wall. Because as you can see, almost 80% of the exterior wall is all glass. So, and this is a direct southern exposure. One of the things that is critical in the timeline is a new roof. The roof is absolutely worn out, and all of the wood flooring, the beautiful 3/4 inch tongue and groove, has suffered from the roof being in such disrepair. So all that wood will be coming out as well. With that, I'll entertain any questions you might have, or if Gareth or Scott, if I've missed something, gentlemen, please jump in. And of course, Jay, if there's something else that may have triggered a response, please, please speak up. But we'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions you have right now.
Do you have anything, Peter?
I was just looking at the facade. Looks like it is right now. There's a lot of louver panels and air conditionings, and
It all goes away.
yeah, back to the
original,
window panels.
all of what was window and may have been replaced with a solid opaque panel that's going to come out, and there will be no through the window refrigeration. We're putting in a whole new HVAC system. We're not using a cooling tower. We're not going to be doing multiple heat pumps. We're going to be going with a refrigerant variant system So we eliminate a lot of ductwork. Again, because of the penetration through the building, we just can't do that. One of the things that.
So you can have like a central chiller plant for the whole.
No
space?
central chiller for the building. The chiller need goes away when you go to the refrigerant piping system. You don't need water because it's what's there now is a water source heat pump system which incorporates ductwork. And there will not be any ductwork.
So there's gonna be
There'll be some, but not.
outdoor air-cooled condensers and for all this
They'll be on
refrigeration.
the roof.
They can be on the roof.
Yes, behind the building, on top of the roof where the overhead door is where we're going to put all of the exhaust system for the hot line in the kitchen. So instead of having to figure out how do we aesthetically go up 5 floors, either on the glass side or, well, if there's no solid wall side, we're going to go up and over through the above the roof and do all of our exhausting on the roof above the loading dock, so that we save ourselves all that ductwork as to how to get out there. So
So it's the ventilation for the cooking area is going to go out to the loading dock and then go up.
it's going to go out to the loading dock, over the loading dock. It'll be on the loading dock roof. So in essence, if I was in the main building, and this is the roof of the loading dock and what is now, I think all your dry goods storage, the exhaust is going to come up because the floor to floor heights are over 10 to 12 feet. So we can go above the ceiling of the kitchen, go through that interstitial space, go out to the exhaust systems.
And I guess with the 11 inches of concrete, it's no problem hanging all that.
Correct, correct. And with vibration isolators, we'll make sure that, because I have not seen the exhaust shop drawings yet, but we're gonna be taking a lot of exhaust, a lot of CFM out of there. So I'm gonna make sure that, and Clark has done such a fabulous job. Clark did all of the kitchen, its design and installation at the Doubletree Hotel. So, and that was $1.5 million installation, and we had minimal amount of shop drawing review and changes, so it worked out very well. And this is right up their alley. This is what we do.
What's all this lube business on the ground? Basement.
Say again, sir?
What is all this lubricant on the basement?
I don't know the answer to that, but if there's no need for, there may be some equipment down there that was there back during the day when it was part of the copper works, but if we can make that into glass, well.
Exciting.
Will, are you there?
Yes, good evening. Thank you.
Hi, Will.
Thank you,
have
gentlemen.
anything for-
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
Okay, yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for this sketch plan. I appreciate it. Of course, attending this workshop over the phone, I cannot see the renderings and elevations. I look forward to reviewing them. Just to follow up on that last bit about the kitchen exhaust, I'm sure, Lee, that you probably already thought about this, but just to be sure, make sure there's protection against any possible backdrafting, considering all the equipment that'll be up on the roof.
Got it.
I also wanted to commend. I wanted to commend you in particular for conserving the original glass and the frames. If I understood everything correctly, I think that's great. That's exactly what those of us concerned about historic preservation want to see, not only from an aesthetic standpoint, but for conservation of materials. Oftentimes, the frames the wood was made with a better quality in the past, and it's worth conserving. And I definitely think that's the right way to go. We should be encouraging that. Along the lines of conservation, for that home that's going to be demolished, I ask you if there's any features inside worth salvaging, please to contact the Artifacts Bank ahead of the demolition, so they have time to take anything out. I'm sure our planning consultant will review the loading zone and the turning radius for whatever trucks will be coming in and out to drop off and pick up the supplies. So we'll take a look at that, of course. And I would ask you to give some consideration, if I'm understanding correctly, this culinary arts aspect, I think that's terrific. It makes sense that, you know, the Goggle Works Center of the Arts would include that aspect. There are very few spaces that can accommodate a cooking demonstration in our area. Having looked into this before for another organization, so I hope you'll give consideration to, with some protocol, to renting that out to anybody that might possibly be interested in such I know you said something about with the vocational schools and making that available to the extent that it's possible. It's just a suggestion, but I mean, obviously the whole facility here will be an asset for renting and really our whole community. So just something to keep in mind. But that's all I have. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Well, and thank you for saying that. We are talking with the Goggle Works Center for the Arts about making sure that the area would be appropriate for them to do cooking classes in there. We've had some very, very preliminary conversations with BRAC about offering cooking classes in this space. And we are considering using this space as a place for entrepreneurs to get started. We anticipate using the kitchen ourselves, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3:30 or something like that. We might be able to make it available for people who are looking to start food trucks or bakery businesses who may not be interested in investing in all that equipment on their own right away. So we are trying to design the kitchen with a variety of uses in mind, some of which, because frankly, if we can find some alternative revenue sources to help us cover the operating costs, that will be helpful to us.
So I will add that that's looking forward to in talks about food trucks and stuff like that. That's very contentious in the city of Reading, but people are looking for food trucks and things like that. In Texas, they do have and probably in Pennsylvania too, but one thing I've become familiar with is central processing facilities. And so people that do have food trucks or they have home-based businesses where they would need a commercial kitchen to sell food, they'll lease out time or space in this CPFs, and that way they do all their prep work in the kitchen and then they load it onto the truck. There's no prep work can actually occur on the truck other than cooking it and assembling the sandwich or whatever. So that would definitely, especially if the city is looking forward to creating some sort of food truck ordinance or allowing those on a limited basis to have that facility in the downtown area, that would be a great asset.
I also wanted to point out, Emily, if you could go back to the floor plan, please. I wanted you to notice that on the right-hand side, going from the lobby entrance to the back of the building to the area of the parking lot, we're looking at creating a sidewalk that will have some graphics in it, either etched in concrete. And then rather than trying to plant trees, because the building will always be adding shade to that, to put some indigenous plants that will grow in shadow for the majority of the time, get some sun in the early morning and late in the afternoon, but just to put some natural touch inside. We look at that walkway as being an access point for future retail on that ground floor level. So we wanted to make it as easily accessible as possible. All right, thank you very much.
You had mentioned at the one stop that you were gonna be looking for zoning relief at the zoning hearing board. What would that be?
I think I misspoke. There's nothing that we see relief for, but it's to start the permit process because the building has to have its own zoning permit, and then each of the tenants would have to have zoning permit. In this case, the owner would have a permit for the building for its occupancy as a business. And then I was of the opinion that each of the tenants gets their own zoning permit as well. So Jay would be applying for a zoning permit. When we did our code study, we could not find any variance that we would be seeking for a hearing in front of the zoning hearing board.
What would you say your use classification would be? And this is probably more so for everyone. What's you?
I would say that if I could break it down into the three obvious, one would be institutional for Jay. Residential for the top floor, and commercial retail for the middle two. If the Reading Science Center would come, that would be institutional as well, but they're not there yet.
Yeah, and we had discussed that, for future, for the residential would be adaptive reuse, but that's
Adaptive
gonna be
reuse,
a
yes.
little bit further down
Yeah.
the line.
Actually did come up with a discussion I had with someone that there's think of the right term. There's a deed restriction on here that it's not allowed to have residential units. Excuse me, what was that? I understand somewhere through the grapevine that there's a deed restriction on here and residential units not allowed. Because of the
that
deed restriction.
also, but it would surprise me because when OCR took ownership of the property, the whole thing was supposed to be residential, so. I have not seen any kind of deed restriction of that kind. I have heard it mentioned before, but nobody seems to be able to substantiate it. I'm sure the research will figure that out if that's the case.
Yeah, I know you've been in your different capacities throughout the years, Jay,
I can't keep a job.
familiar.
Yeah, Jay brings up a good due diligence memory bank issue. The previous project was all 5 floors were residential for artists apartments, and some of the artists had studios inside their apartments, complete 5 floors. So if there was a restricted covenant item.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I would
I've
assume
never
that
heard
somebody
that.
at OCR would have known that when that would have been revealed when they took possession of the property.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So, yeah, okay, very good. Just trying to think if I had anything else. Oh, and you would probably not know the answer to this, although, Gareth or, Scott might know. Now that the annexation is complete, and if there's a Reading Science Center, and if, we do something like food trucks or something, will the Gobbleworks be ready to finish off that one parking area that's right off of 3rd Street? Because that would be a great place for parking buses and even your trucks. If, they're not in the dock, that would be a great, the OCR and Gobbleworks could stripe that out for trucks.
Yeah, I mean, we're only envisioning one truck on site at a time. And I know that there are campus extensions going on at Gobbleworks hours, but I don't know what they're, you
Yeah.
would know better than I do.
It's my understanding that Thorn Street will become a dining slash entertainment venue with access into the area in the northwest corner of Goggle One, where the current restaurant or cafe is. But I have not seen anything more since about maybe June this year. No work has started that I'm aware of. Yeah,
No.
no construction.
So I would just, I would just keep that in mind as we move forward, because like when First Ballet Theater had they had I forget which food truck dropped by from West Reading. We parked it, we were allowed to open up the gate and have them parked down there, so it was out of the main parking lot area.
Well, now that the Doubletree Hotel has the restaurants commission, I think they'd have to weigh in on whether they would allow food trucks or not, but Craig's an easy going guy. I don't see that as being a problem. If
Yeah.
it warranted it.
Our relationship with food trucks would be on the, if there were to be any, would again be sort of what you were talking about, allowing cooking to go on overnight, not giving food away to food trucks or anything like that. Can I just say, did you say anything about the timing issues that we're looking at?
No, I mentioned briefly that you had a deadline, but end of 2024.
Yeah, so a fair amount of the funding that has been allocated to us for this project is ARP funding, and which has a deadline of December of 24. My understanding is a pretty firm deadline, and I would hate to find out the contrary. So we're interested in moving this along as quickly as we're able to. Just so that we don't lose that funding. It's about a little bit more than $2 million, or a little bit less than $2 million of funding overall. So an important piece of the capital stack to get this completed, and that is kind of the issue that's driving the schedule.
And to meet the deadline, it has to be completed or substantial use, or what's the definition?
So I'm not sure of those. Our intention is to, Gareth has a schedule that has us in that building before December, and that's, so we're operating on that. Should things get behind and we need to go to the state and ask for, we'll find out some more of those things then, but it's a reimbursement program, so I think we have to have funds expended before December 24th.
Did you want to submit a sketch plan?
Yes.
Okay. As you know, we only have one December meeting, and because we consolidate the workshop session and the regular meeting, and that's on December 19th. So everything gets moved up a week. We will not have the workshop session on the 26th, and just have the, we have it advertised for.
So December 19th is your joint workshop slash planning commission meeting.
Yeah, we won't have a workshop, we'll just have the regular meeting. Okay. So we could do the sketch plan review, we can make sure we got everything covered from a zoning perspective at that time, to make sure that you describe either fit within the CC zoning district as it is, or within the zoning amendment for adaptive reuse as it's currently proposed.
Okay.
I thought the CC was more encompassing as far as uses. It's a little bit limited, but we're gonna look at it again.
If you can just if you just get the zoning permit application in, that way we can start reviewing it in case for whatever reason you would need to go in front of CHP, but we could always do that kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that this is what we were after for adaptive reuse, and I want to make sure that we before we send this out for public review, we consider this idea as well.
So then, in order to get on the agenda for the 19th, I have to submit a package before. Or is this it?
Just for you, Lee,
Yes.
let's go with the deadline of December 11th.
December 11th. Right. So then my package for December 11th will be adaptive reuse.
It'll be a sketch plan application. Sketch plan. And then that way and also submit your zoning permit application as well. And then that way we'll work, planning and zoning offices will work together and have a review for you. And if you need zoning relief, then at least you'll know at that time.
Got it, thank you.
The existing building, in terms of dimensional requirements and things like that, it's already possibly in non-conforming with certain aspects as far as setbacks. So if the elevator is to be, provided, that might be permitted under the expansion criteria under non-conformities as well. So things like that will iron out.
Okay.
Then. Since this is adaptive reuse, it's just a preliminary final,
It would be, yes,
because, you're not building anything.
Other than that, the demo and elevator, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the yellow, yeah.
Yeah.
But that most likely wouldn't require,
you're gonna have to go through a special exception application through the zoning hearing board, but they may not have to do that until they do the upper floors.
That's correct.
great. And,
Yeah,
because,
When the
because-
zoning permit comes in, we'll just be reviewing for, that first floor for
Yes.
helping harvest.
Yes,
If and when they move forward with it, with the residential, we'll deal with it at that time.
in our discussion with the CM/GC that's being retained for the project. We felt that we could move forward. Out the elevator / lobby because it's not necessary for Jay and his occupancy. He is not going to rely on that elevator for any access for staff or the general public. And I'll put that all together in our letter with our sketch plan.
because we could always mark that as a phase 2,
Yes,
then,
yes,
for the upper floors.
Yep.
Because that, my other question would have been, is does that square footage exceed the, what needs to be reviewed by the conservation district?
Oh, that's gonna be way less than.
it's less than an acre.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
an acre would be an NPDES permit, but if you're less than 5,000 square feet.
Yes.
So- and you're also less than 2,000 square feet, so those are the thresholds.
Yeah, okay, great, yeah, I just didn't wanna see that, if, with the elevator and the towers and everything,
That's gonna be no problem.
that would cost some extra time. And then, to your, and then I guess is stormwater and stuff like that.
That'll be
would
less than,
pretty straightforward.
There'll be less than that, the impervious coverage requirements for the. Yeah, because that's it, they are using impervious now.
Yes.
So they would do pre and post development calculations and it's gonna wash.
So then the other big thing is, sewer modules.
Yeah, that's gonna be probably a factor when they do the residential.
Okay, but not so
Not
much
this
with
one.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. But we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
That's something that maybe.
Then, rather than give you a blank floor plate. Would it be of value if we gave you the anthology of, here was a scheme that everybody seemed to like of the floor 4 being a market rate apartment layout? to show you.
And
fixtures.
that would be helpful. I mean, that's gonna be. If we need to send you to the zoning hearing, if you need to go to the zoning hearing board for any relief, I mean, at this phase. It'd be nice if you went through it and just did your special exception for the adaptive reuse as well. That's an option. You don't have to do it, but you may have to go back to the zoning hearing board.
Yeah.
At a later date.
Yeah. At this point, I would opt for at a later date because there's no eminent decision-making process being made for the fourth floor and third floor. And second floor as well, so my own personal opinion is, the economics of it is not, thoroughly, vetted so that we know exactly, whether it's a go or no go.
Yeah, I think the most, not the most difficult, the most challenging thing that we have to make sure that we cover is this use on the first floor.
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, so we'll get we'll get that ironed out within, prior to our December meeting.
All right.
Very good. Well, thank you
Thank
very
you all
much.
very much.
Because this
Thank,
is very helpful. Get you on the right track. Go ahead, Will.
oh, thank you. Yeah, Lee, if I may take this opportunity, welcoming you back, because you've been on both sides of the table. Did you have any thoughts or suggestions or anything about the one-stop process?
Yes, the only disappointment was that the fire marshal was not there.
Usually,
I think that
Okay.
the fire marshal did there, and then he would have seen the extensive amount of food service equipment going in and hearing Jay describe the process. I think it would have been better if Jeremy had been there to help. But
I see.
but as Emily had pointed out, things were going on in the city that he was needed elsewhere. But
Right, because I
Tom-
understand he usually attends, but thank you
Yeah.
for that perspective,
Yeah.
Lee.
But everybody listens, they offer good advice, and I think it's a very worthwhile 1 hour spent on a project. And it helps me in, figuring out my paperwork and my schedule.
Mhm.
And what it did was the following day, we had a team meeting and it just set our target dates of when things had to be done internally with our design team. So it
Great.
really precipitated moving forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Yes, and I'm actually glad that the person who was the group that was originally scheduled dropped out and that you were able to make it there.
We are too. All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Everybody have a good turkey day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
that's really.
Okay, thank you, Garrett. Thanks, Scott.
Scott.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Very good.
Even
That's good.
I think you're the only person who was on the board back when Ramidi used to be beating me up at Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, yes. 20 walls and about 2 bathrooms and all
I
that.
thought we were gonna meet in the pen room, and I was like, I haven't been in that room back since I was having those, oh, Ramidi, yeah.
Yeah. The character, yeah, but no, yeah, it just it just turns out that with your background and everything, you go to where you're needed.
I know a little bit about.
Because you were at Habitat and then you were at Alberta and now you're with Helping Harvest, so your background.
So what's next?
I think this is it for me. I'll tell you, I never thought I would love a job the way I love the Habitat job, which I left because I had kids going to college. That's how I ended up at Alvernia. I love this job. I can't tell you. They let me drive the trucks. There's forklifts around. It's all good.
Oh, I also wanted to ask you, just
We're recording.
out of, just out of, interest, your refrigeration area
The new one.
that was built during the pandemic. I'm sure that's quite filled now.
Yeah, it's full. We had built it to be flexible, to use it as a refrigerator when we needed it, and as a freezer when we needed it. Probably we could have just built them both as freezers. That's what they're set at 95% of the time. But a lot of that is actually driven by what's driving this product or this project. We get a lot of bulk donations that are frozen, and we can hold them forever. But they're very hard for us to distribute because we mainly distribute through pantries to individual families. So, families can't store bulk products. So, if we get this going, we hope that it will relieve some pressure in our freezer area because we'll actually have something to do with what are mostly 40-pound boxes of chicken.
Very good.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, very good. We will move on to the phase 2 of the zoning and saldo amendments.
I got comments from some of you in which we can incorporate those changes right before we send it to the county. I would like at our meeting on the 28th to formally make a recommendation that adaptive reuse, the parking and loading requirements for the zoning and the parking and loading amendments for the saldo be formally submitted to the Berks County Planning Commission for review. This isn't going to be the end of your final review. We'll be getting their comments back since it's we'll probably have it back for January. I doubt it. They have a minimum of 30 days or maximum of 30 days. But they consider it's the holiday, they probably won't have it reviewed by then. But you never know. Oh
We
yeah,
have one next week and then December.
Yeah, that's, okay, you're talking about.
and then we got to get on,
Or the one that's-
and then we'll have to get on city council's agenda as well. And by the way, they're still considering the phase 1 amendments.
Oh, geez.
So
Yeah, there was just one thing I wanted to go over. I tried to go over everything again today, but I lost power at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
another weekend.
So, the only thing I wanted to ask you about tonight is about, that is easy to figure out, on the adaptive reuse. Page,
We may have to tweak it a little bit for applications such as like this. I just noticed.
yeah. Page 4. Would be 8E. The habitable area for each residential apartment unit shall include a designated space or area for a kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom. An efficiency or studio option may be considered as an option. Shared or common sanitary facilities, kitchens, and bathrooms shall be prohibited. Now, I think there's somewhere else in here that says that everything has to follow, the rest of the ordinance for that area, but I didn't know if we needed to somewhere in this area talk about the 25% efficiency.
Good point. The
Restriction.
25% would go away if this was allowed. So someone wanted to come in with 50% efficiencies. They could do it.
Interesting.
So are we completely removing allowing studios? So, because currently studios are only permitted by special exception anyways.
This is by special exception.
Okay,
So the key question is, if you want to put a maximum percentage on the efficiencies in here, you can. Right now it's open, so they can do all of them as efficiencies.
Wow, that might be something zoning would want to talk about.
well, I'm just thinking back, cause I did follow it a little bit when they were originally, allowing efficiencies to be permitted. And basically zoning was lucky to be able to add studios as an option. I think removing the maximum, might not be as feasible as some may like or want. I think we should definitely kind of have a maximum.
Okay.
But that could be for further discussion.
And we can put that in so let's bring that back up for discussion next.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and, whatever we do, then I guess if it's other than what's in the other section, we should cross-reference. But that was a good observation. I kind of just presumed it was in accord with the other provision, but that was a good question, Wayne. I did
No, if
submit
you wanted to-
my edits on the adaptive reuse this evening, sorry. I know you already got my ones on the other section. I think everything is good. We're making good progress. We're getting close now.
So within, if you do residential apartments in a mid-rise or high-rise, and you want to do the efficiencies, you have up to 25% that you can do by special exception.
Yeah, so, already in the apartments, it has to be in a building that has 4 or more units, dwelling units. And a maximum of 25% can be studios efficiencies.
So I think we ought to look to having a little bit more flexibility with adaptive reuse, but we should put a cap. So I think 25% may be too low, so we want to go into 50% for adaptive reuse, so be it. But let's think about that, come back and attempt to put this in that, modify this section.
Okay. Great. That was, yeah, I thought about it more again today. It's like, just bring this up.
I think we'll have more time to tweak and do things.
Yeah.
Additionally, especially when we get the county's review back.
That was the only big issue item I see in my notes. My other notes are all.
Well, I would expect that there's gonna be, there will be people that are going to oppose these provisions. So be it.
Yeah. I know that. Some developers, when adaptive reuse opened up. Maybe not as restrictive and, this is going to allow that to happen. So, especially when we're talking heavy, Reading hardware building, that's a heavy manufacturing zone on Canal Street, right?
Yeah, and then we had a couple opportunities within the last 2 years to that people were interested, and then we told them can't do residential, and then they said forget it.
Yeah, so I was, and this,
So the problem with that building, it's in the riverfront redevelopment overlay, which would allow adaptive reuse. The problem is that there's a provision in that it needs to be a minimum like 10-acre parcel or something like that.
Yeah.
Because when that was created, it was with the
right.
idea that whole area will be developed at once.
that's something that we will need to take a look at, rewriting that section after we're done with this stuff.
Yeah, that I don't recall the name of the developer, but that was a Baltimore developer.
Yeah, Gianesca, I think it was.
Gianesca, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's something we'll have to take a look at, because that was something that,
Well, this would, I think, replace that riverfront overlay.
cool. Yeah,
I think when people look at the difference, they'll choose these requirements. A little bit more flexible.
right. Boy, that would be nice, yeah. It sounds like we're going on the right track here with this.
Yeah.
So. All right, and see here, anyone have anything else on the phase 2? Yeah,
Michelle did want me to just pass along that she hadn't had a chance to go over it thoroughly yet, but her comments will be at next week's meeting, so.
oh, okay, yeah,
Then, we have no comments on this time, but Michelle is planning to
Yeah.
have more to say on the
no,
meeting.
that's great. Okay, then I will announce that our voting meeting for the planning commission will be next Tuesday, November 28th. At our usual 6 p.m. Are we here or in the pen room next week?
Pen room, I believe.
Okay.
But now that our audio and visual has been fixed.
Yeah, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's in.
Will, how did it sound today?
You know, now that you mention it, I could hear everything.
So we
Great
can,
point.
so, yeah, so now that everything has been fixed, we could. I'm pretty sure, Brandy had already reserved the pen room,
Mhm.
but from now on, we can.
Yes.
Then nothing else
Yeah, keep our
happens.
fingers crossed that stuff keeps working here.
Okay,
So, all right, very good. Okay, does anyone have anything for the good of the order?
I can just tell you the items we're gonna have on the agenda for the
Oh,
28th.
yeah,
So on the 28th, we will have Novus annexation and land development plan. That's at 40 Noble Street. You have our review at this point. 108 South 5th Street is a land development plan, which is also a change of use. You have that review. You will have the Reading School District, the Reservoir Field modifications and its land development plan. That will be issued tomorrow. As well as the 1136 through 1148 Moss Street annexation and land development plan. You should have that review possibly tomorrow as well.
The reservoir playing field, that's where the young kids play football. It's also a soccer field
field,
for the high
It's
school,
a
right?
turf field.
It's multi-purpose, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter used to cheerlead on that field.
They had some landslides, they had some stormwater issues, of course, there was a traffic accident. The guy went into the reservoir. So they're doing some modifications with the travel lanes around it, and they're going to do some modifications with the parking, so they can break even with that. So they're all going to be done together, and it will just be under an acre, so that they don't have to do an NPDES permit.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering about that because we looked at that when they did all the athletic fields a number of years ago. And I was wondering why they were coming back, but now I understand. That's okay, great. Very good.
I'm still getting hunted by Randy Davis via DocuSign.
Which plan is that?
Ignite Street.
Oh, I have that, are we still waiting on their agreements for that?
Did you sign those agreements?
Cause I've been holding on to their final plans to redistribute, because they actually made a mistake on theirs. And they had stuff referencing some other project. So I do have revised plans that I will be sending out for signatures. But I was just waiting on their agreements to get done before I did that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I don't,
Last thing I
You
signed,
can, if
Randy
they came
was still
from
there.
Brandy, you can ignore them.
well, I do, it's just that they keep coming.
Oh, okay, yeah,
One was yesterday.
I can't cancel it. But I do have the
Project's done.
most, yeah, I do have the most.
Oh, okay,
up-to-date.
I haven't.
Oh,
been over
90%,
that, like,
90% done.
Yeah, I haven't been over that like, so.
Yeah, they moved pretty fast with the paving.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, but as I might have signed the agreements, but it would have been a long time ago.
I think you did.
Next week, but.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we need to re-sign the plan, that's not.
Well, I haven't sent out the plans for signature, I don't think.
Okay,
Does anybody know how to contact Randy Davis to get her to go to DocuSign accountants.
Yeah, we have her forwarded. so-
Yeah, I could ask her to see if she still has access to her DocuSign. That might be an IT thing.
So,
Yeah, that's funny because I don't get them from Brandy anymore.
Well, it was right at the transition.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you said that you were going to send it out, and so I didn't sign hers, so I signed.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Right.
I mean, at this point, just sign it, just so you get stuck in and.
Well, yeah, I see that too.
All right, well, very good. We will see everyone, next week.
Wayne,
We will yeah,
just an announcement. Today, the mayor appointed a city revitalization and improvement zone working group, the CRIZ. If you may recall, a few years ago, the city made an attempt at this project. And I was wondering if I was going to ask at some point if it was planning to do so again. And I'd like to congratulate our colleague, Commissioner Peter Rye, for his appointment to the group. So I'm glad there'll be a planning commissioner representative on this body to foster economic growth and community development. So congratulations.
no, that works out well.
Yeah, I chaired the authority 10 years ago to work with this, and successfully. But again, I guess if this authority gets repopulated, I will be involved in it. I don't know what that means for my participation here. Is there a rule that you can't be on more than one commission or authority?
Yeah, there is actually a rule that, yeah, you can't be on more than one commission. Or can't be on one, you can't be on, not on one, more than one commission or board unless you are like a representative, like you're the representative to the life property review board.
Yeah.
Authorities are different because technically authorities are supposed to be separate from the city.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
city doesn't.
it's a good, this legal question was, it came up before. It's only if it's under the boards and commissions, under that section in the charter that creates them. If it's a different entity, it wouldn't matter. So it's a good question. We'll have to see how that's determined. But
Well,
this issue came before the charter review, the charter review board. And it determined that, it can, a person could, if it were a commission not created by the city and under that section.
Well, in any event. It's an authority. It still exists on paper, and it's gonna get repopulated. Hopefully, January or something. Right, but right now, it's just a wording.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah. Very good. We can always get an opinion from
Michelle.
Michelle. Yeah, because she knows what's going on. We don't have to ask Fred or anybody. Fred never answers our questions anyway. Okay, very good. Then I guess we will adjourn the meeting and we'll see everybody next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you.
I will.
Thanks, Will.